started working 11 years ago, starting here at Orange Music Sound Studio, working for Bill Laswell. I have recording experience beforehand, but home recording experience. I've always been a musician, always recorded myself. Never professionally for recording other bands or anything like that up until I started working here. I really had only recorded myself doing kind of lo-fi 4-track recordings. So my first session was it was like a real recording session, drums, bass, and keyboards, or I think there was a guitar involved as well. But that's what I thought recording was all about. You know, from then on, every day is a curveball. You know, I never know what we're gonna do. You know, I've had to record firecrackers, or duck calls into a bucket of water. Tim Kuiper had me record duck calls into a baby pool of water. So that might have been one of the craziest things I've had to record. The studio dates back to the late '60s. It was built for Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. In the late, like I said, in the late '60s, they had used it. I guess they had some success already, and their producer, this became their home base, and they continued to record, I guess, a lot of their music here. And I think it was more of a commercial space as well, because I think Jethro Tull had recorded here as well, and the Kinks were recording here. So that's pretty much what I know. It was called Van Tone Studio. It was the original name for the studio. So. It went on to become Grand Slam Studio in I guess the 80s, and still a commercial space. I think a lot of, well-known bands have recorded here. George Benson had recorded here. I think I heard that Aerosmith recorded here too. So. It started out whenever he started playing in Manhattan. He would hire me as his bass tech, and I would go there and help set up his pedals. His pedal board is pretty extensive. And his amp settings are pretty, although they're pretty standard by now, we kind of go with the same thing every time. He uses a pretty specific setup, and, he likes everything to sound exactly the same. And, his thing is he likes to roll to the gig, and I've got everything set up, and all he has to do is plug in and play. So, we've created kind of a relationship that way where, he just relies on me. I'll be there with his gear, and he just has to roll up and play. So.
Was that stressful at all in the beginning?
At first it is. Bill for a minute was using, a lot of his pedals are battery powered, and some pedals don't have power supplies. Some of them are older, so they don't have power supplies. So it's like changing batteries all the time. There's a rehearsal. After rehearsal, change a battery. And then even though some are powered by AC, it's like, once the gig starts, and he goes up there and plugs in his bass and he's turning the volume up. The last thing you want to know is that split second is you want to hear sound come out of that amplifier, because if it doesn't, then it's like, you're scrambling to figure out what's going on. So, so there is a moment of stress, but once he starts playing, it's all over. So, Bill's really involved in the world music, stuff. He pulls musicians from all over the world. He's worked with musicians from all over the world, Japan and all parts of Africa. It's kind of what he's known for. I think lately I've been into, not only listening to the stuff that we do here, but I'm delving more into it myself. So it's influencing me. I'm playing in a group right now that's its roots are hip hop and reggae, but everyone's kind of a fan of like Afrobeat music and stuff like that. So it's cool to throw in an 8-bar thing in a song that reflects like that kind of music, and everyone digs it, and it's kind of like a cool thing. And I could see our songwriting going more that way. So. Everything is different. Every session is different. Every record's different. There will be nowadays everything is recorded. Well, everything that we do is recorded digitally using Pro Tools. I would say, we're mostly mixing here, but we can do a live recording session at the beginning of a month, and then spend the rest of the month just doing kind of like what a filmmaker might call post-production. We're tweaking, we're fixing, we're tightening up drums, we're processing sound, and then by the end of the month we have tracks that are ready to mix, and then it might take another 2-3 weeks to mix that record. So, you know, but like I said, everything's different. There are sessions we'll record the record in one day, just do the recording. The next day we'll come in with, you know, fresh ears, and we'll mix it the next day. So, you know, everything's different. There's always little things an engineer can do to move things along, and it comes with things you've learned in the past, and watching producers like Bill or other producers that I've worked with, how they the little things they do, or how they interact with musicians, and how they try to get the best out of them. And it's, you know, everything, you pick up on everything, and that's, you know, when if I'm engineering a session on my own, I'll do the same thing, you know, even though I'm not in the producer seat, but I'll definitely use those tricks to kind of help musicians get past the blocks and just keep things rolling, because it's you know, everybody wants to be productive, and you know, sometimes it's even best just to take a 20-minute break and come back, you know, have a coffee, or, you know, that kind of thing, and have a bite to eat or something. So, we have racks of analog equipment, you know, effects processors, but there's plugins that do really cool things, and they've come a long way. You know, when they first came out, maybe they weren't sounding so great because of things like latency, and you know, now you're able to record things at higher bit rates and sample rates and stuff like that. So the digital audio quality is getting better, so plugins are sounding better. So, you know, we do whatever sounds interesting to our ears, and if we get it from a plugin, or if we get it from an outboard piece of gear or something like that, it's you know, it's one and the same to us. So, you know, I think you can be equally as creative with plugins as you can with, you know, analog gear. So, you know, if you have the opportunity to learn about mic placement and using mics, and if you have opportunity to, you know, if you have the opportunity to get like a vintage amplifier, like you know, like a tube amplifier, you know, nothing's ever going to sound as great as that, and you know, but you know, those things serve a purpose. When I first started working here, it was the other engineer asked me to come out here. He's like, yeah, he's like, the singer's not here, but can you check the mic? We want to check the headphone levels and make sure things are working. Check the reverb. So I go out there, and I thought it'd be funny to put the headphones on and sing "Rainbow in the Dark" by James Dellatacoma. The guy's looking at me like I'm a jerk off, you know. It's like,